I'm not going there this morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's breakfast meeting of our Canyon Connection Council. Really a very special one in terms of welcoming a very special guest. But this almost seems to be getting a habit with this particular group this year. We had Ambassador Giffen here last spring. We had our guests, a new colleague in Montreal 2 months ago, and then now to Quebec City. So we're kind of covering the entire map of our northern neighbor and all of our diplomatic friends and partners up there. So it's been a good year, I think, in terms of contact building and building awareness of the North Country. Although, interestingly, as you'll learn a bit later, our guest has some connections with the North Country, as the ambassador certainly did, of course. So Plattsburgh already has friends that we just have to kind of find. They're out there, and we have to reacquaint them with us and reacquaint us with them. Some introductions. My boss and chairman of the chamber, Don Dooley. We have a great division of duties at the chamber. We don't want to confuse people. We want to really define who you need to go to for certain things. So if you like things at the chamber, you talk to me. If you're unhappy about something, you talk to John.
That's right.
Works out well.
I will talk to you later.
And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce and welcome the Toastmaster General of Plattsburgh and the elder statesman of this Chamber of Commerce, our good past President Joe Hornstein. And the chairman of the Can-Am Connection Council and our Economic Development Division at the Chamber, Matthew Boyd. And with us from the Clinton County Legislature, Celine Clay. Keeps an eye on the border, of course. She's right there. Before I introduce our special guest, we also have with us another special guest this morning, actually, but a frequent one to the North Country. We've seen him a number of times at various functions we've done with the Trade Corridor and with this council through the years. And happy he was able to travel through the area and join us this morning. Jim Phillips, Executive Director of the Can-Am Border Trade Alliance. We work very closely and actively with the BTA, which under Jim's leadership has really emerged over these last several years as something that was vitally needed, which really is a cohesive and unified spokes-organization for cross-border issues from both perspectives, Canada and the U.S. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, the Border Trade Alliance is a very broad-based alliance of Canadian and U.S. chambers of commerce, businesses, customs brokers, public agencies, colleges and universities, trade corridor coalitions. They have played a leading role, really, over the last couple of years in coalescing this whole concept of trade corridors, and of course we're very much engaged in now, and in helping to ensure that concept was embodied in the new transportation legislation at the federal level. They've been key in helping us at least temporarily resolve the Section 110 dilemma. Still got to come with a final solution. We've got time to do that now. And just really advocating all the time in Ottawa and in Washington, and doing so very effectively. I'd like to call on Jim. I asked him if he'd be willing to address us a little bit on some of the issues presently that the BTA is working on, and maybe what some of the priorities and issues are over the next year.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be with this very active and effective initiative here in the North Country. Very quickly, as Gary pointed out, the Can-Am Border Trade Alliance is active across the entire border from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and we now have a network of approximately 60,000 companies and organizations that are participating and active in these issues that we're advocating. Very quickly, an update, probably most critical interest to you on a timely basis from the corridor point of view. As you know, the T21 initiative on corridors and gateways was passed. And just a quick reminder that all projects are due to the Secretary of Transportation by January 15th. of 1999 with a award date of funding by March 1st for 99 funds. So that timetable for the first year of that 2.1 program is upon us. So I urge you all to finalize your initiatives on the Carter. As Gary quickly said, the 110 situation is a real problem because although we got a 30-month postponement, the real critical issue here is that there is no known technology at the present time that's quick enough to identify all people exiting and entering the country. And frankly, any kind of a delay in legal trade and visitation activities will be absolutely catastrophic to the U.S.-Canada relations and affect the Canadian, the U.S. economy here as well. So we are very concerned because, frankly, the problem is not Canadian in or out. It is really the fact that the very first individual that needs to be identified in and out is going to cause the problem for all Americans as well. You and I are going to be caught up in the dynamics of the border situation as well as Canadians. So it's a lot deeper than just the fact that we are having a problem with excluding Canadians. This should be as so that's an issue that we're looking at very carefully. And the last thing I think most other time the thing is the resources of U.S. Customs and INS on the northern border. The U.S.-Canada border, as you know as well as I, has been a forgotten border. INS has added since 1994 some 8,000 employees, and the total staff on the U.S.-Canada border of the INS has not gone up at all. It will go on to other duties. Canadian border, U.S. Customs resources, I call it the long and strained blue line here on the U.S.-Canada border. That staff has not gone up since 1980, and yet the commercial transactions have six-doubled. So we have been very active in the Senate Finance Committee to get authorization to add additional resources, and I expect in the spring that will be successful. Some labor issues that the House wants to handle before they will agree to the authorization. So those are three of the key issues locally. I just thank you very much for having the hospitality. Gary is an excellent leader you have, very, very active, and always gets a chance to voice Plattsburgh's initiatives at the national meetings in Washington, Ottawa. I'm very pleased to be here, and thanks for having me.
I urge all of you who haven't, again, been part of the BTA, because obviously you all, because you're here this morning, you have an interest in cross-border issues. Yeah.
Can you use the microphone, please?
I can try. Doesn't. There.
Works better when it's Howard Johnson.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. If it starts to move, warn me. Get to know Jim this morning. If you haven't, you chat with him afterwards, get to know more about the BTA. They have two excellent conferences, and they really are the leader in working on these issues. And any of you in your businesses and organizations who are concerned with those issues, I would really suggest that you may want very much to be a part of the BTA and to join it and use it to support it so it has the strength to do what it does, but also take part in some of the activities that it does. And thank Jim for working on our behalf. He does a tremendous job for us. Before I introduce our special guest, I have a story to tell. Richard was telling me this just yesterday, in fact. He had three students. As you know, they have a lot of international students over there in his program. And they had a Canadian student, a British student, and a U.S. student. And wanted to kind of find out maybe how they would approach issues differently from the different cultural perspectives. So Richard asked them each to write an essay about elephants. And they all went, and they had a week, and they wrote their essays, and they came back, and there was a French student. The French student came back, and his essay was about the love life of elephants. And the U.S. student was raising elephants for fun and profit. And the British student came back, and his essay was about the role of elephants in the building of the British Empire. And then came to the Canadian student, and his essay was entitled Elephants, Federal or Provincial Jurisdiction? part of what certainly our guest is immersing herself into and getting to know, which are the particular politics and issues and cultural perspectives and so on of that great neighbor to the north of us, and including some of those wranglings that have become almost an inevitable part of Canadian politics and government and almost a way of life, are these jurisdictional questions, one of which, of course, is very much a part of the recent campaign next door to us. We're here as much this morning and for the rest of the day today. We have a very aggressive agenda that we're going to run Lois through from now through the conclusion of the day. We're here as much today to introduce ourselves to our guest, as also to give an opportunity for our guest to introduce herself to us. As this number portrays on this board, our connection is very big, very large in terms of dollars, and therefore it goes without saying very important to us. We are approximately 85,000 people in the Plattsburgh Champlain region. And when you put that number up against that, you realize what a tremendous impact that is. It would be one thing for it to be $1.27 billion impact on the city of New York. It's something else when you look at a number and you realize $1.27 billion a year economic impact on 85,000 people. It is tremendous. It's what drives this economy. What I think is important for our guest and the relationship that we can continue to nurture and find ways to get more value for both parties out of in the future is that if there is a $1.27 billion impact on Plattsburgh by Canada, 85,000 people near the border, doesn't it boggle the mind to realize what that really translates into for both of our nations? If you could ripple that study and that number through the entire country and come up with the fullness of that number, I think it would just knock everybody unconscious probably for several days. And it's an important perspective that we want to send our guests back to Quebec City with too, in terms of the ways that we need to understand and nurture this relationship. The numbers, frankly, that the federal government, both federal governments for that matter, toss around as being the economic impact of trade and commerce between our countries just doesn't tell the story. It is a falsely low number. It is in fact a very low number from the total picture because all it really tracks is goods crossing the border, actual finished products, actual tangible products. And that's only one, as we've come to realize, only one piece of the puzzle. There are so many other aspects which are reflected in this number. Industrial investment in our country by Canadian companies and the payroll that generates that are here because of this relationship. Professional services, broadcasting, energy, real estate. All of those things don't get reflected in that trade number that the Commerce Department throws out as being, that $1 billion a day number that they use. That sounds big enough, but we realize it's $1 billion a year in Plattsburgh. Well, it's got to be a heck of a lot more even than $1 billion a day. So it is just tremendously important. What also is important to understand is the peculiar, the very specific, and potentially the very important role that this particular area has to play as a partner on behalf of the whole country, frankly, in facilitating and dealing with and nurturing these numbers and this special relationship because of the very special situation that we're in and the very special history that we have. And I know you've all heard this before, but again, this is as much a part of introducing our guest to our area as is coming up with fresh material for the rest of you here this morning, so bear with me. But we're fond of saying at this chamber, and it really is true, we have certainly become, as this number reflects, Montreal's U.S. suburb. And we're really only a couple of places in this country where you have one of the great commercial centers in Canada so close to the border with a relatively small gateway and kind of service center community next door that can evolve in quite the relationship sort of way that we have. I think really the only other situation that is really akin to ours is Bellingham, Washington, and Vancouver. I don't think really along that entire border there's quite the same dynamic as there is here. We are Montreal's U.S. suburb, and really historically we always have been. And this is one of the things that positions us so well to play an increasingly special part in building this relationship. Because I'm also fond of saying, and I think it's true, we are Quebecers. We are Quebecers who were, by fate of history, kind of trapped inside the U.S. for wars and the drawing of lines and things a couple of hundred years ago, we had really evolved as a spillover of people from the Montreal area. The people that settled here, including my ancestors and those of many of the folks here in this room, came to this area, unlike the immigrants that settled most of the country, not through New York and Philadelphia and Boston. They came here by way of Montreal. They came to Quebec and then looked for farmland or looked to set up their shops or their blacksmith shops or work in the mines or whatever it was that they came down here near Montreal. The border wasn't as controlled in those days. People just kind of spilled over and settled and did things very easily. And we really were culturally and historically part of Quebec. Although then, for a couple hundred years, that border tended to redefine us and kind of pull us into the U.S. and separate us really from our historical roots and where we had come from. And what's happened now is economics and things like NAFTA are making the border become less important and really allowing us to reattach to what were always our historical roots. And roots that have been maintained over the years because of our proximity, because Montrealers have always come here and been comfortable here and vacationed here and shopped here, and now increasingly invest here and locate their businesses here. Those connections have kind of kept that connection alive, and now it really is reblossoming because we are reconnecting in so many other ways. That gives us a very special cultural connection with Quebec that is very important to the U.S. and U.S. commerce, that they have an area just inside the border that not just is close to them physically, but is close to them culturally and historically, that can become their entry point to the U.S. and in reverse, a U.S. entry point and contact point into Quebec. Canada generally, but Quebec specifically, as you're learning very quickly, there are very real differences. They are one, but they are two at the same time. So that's important to understand. What also is happening, and I'm sure you're coming, because I know you're a quick study. You don't get to be a consul general without being a very quick study about the posts that you come to and the issues that are important. What also is happening here is something of really historic proportions, and as happens normally with things that are of historic proportions, folks that are there at the time don't recognize the historic import of it because they're too busy doing what they're doing within the historic opportunity that they're a part of. It's not until 20 years later that maybe they look back and say, gee, that was historic. That was a big change. But there really is something dramatically historically important happening in all of North America right now, and specifically Canada and the U.S. Eventually, I think Mexico, the dynamic is going to follow there, but I think it's some years off. And that is an entire realignment of our economies. Economies don't realign often, and when it happens, it is historic when it happens. It happens maybe once in a couple of centuries. If you look at any continent or any region in the world, that economics really realigns itself in entirely new directions. And it's happening here. For 200 years, the entire story of both Canada and the U.S. was east-west. Link the two coasts, build the railroads, build the highway systems, build canals and waterways to capture those goods in the interior and get them out to our eastern and Pacific seaports and unite the nation. That's changed. Now, everything, not everything, but now the most important dynamic is north-south. Things are shifting. Our rail systems are uniting north and south. We're talking about how to better unite our highway systems. It's reflected in the new transportation bill. And as these commerce numbers indicate, investment in commercial activity, which was always our number one trading partner with Canada, is now growing exponentially. Because there's just a whole new dynamic that's looking north and looking south. And we stand on one of the top three gateways, one of the top three trade corridors in this entire dynamic. We are right at that gateway, right on that trade corridor. The border crossing at Champlain, which you came through this morning, is the number 3 commercial gateway between these two commercial giants, and servicing this burgeoning trade that's going on and that is growing exponentially. And to give you an idea of how exponential it's growing, this council did this study. We're going to share a copy of it with you later. This council designed this study a few years ago because we knew that this was becoming an increasingly driving force in the economics of this region, but we couldn't measure or define it because nobody tracked these things other than those trade numbers that the federal government used. Nobody tracked what's going on with industrial investment here. Who are these Canadian companies? How many are they? What's the payroll they're generating? What's the value of real estate owned by Canadian companies and individuals here? How much property taxes is it generating? What's the value of that natural gas that comes down here? What's the value of the broadcasting that's going on here that wouldn't be going on here if we weren't next to Montreal?
professional services, accounting and legal, all of that being purchased by Canadians and servicing Canadian companies, all of those many different factors. We came up with a way to measure that. The state of New York helped us with that because they wanted to be a model that other areas could use, and hope eventually others will. And we're doing it every 2 years now. And for 1994, which was the first calendar year we looked at, the number was $784 million per year. Knocked a lot of people's socks off. It showed that this connection is, in fact, the single biggest driving force in the economy of this region of New York State. And then, of course, we came up 2 years later with this number, and when you now reflect 784 to 1.27 in a 2-year period, it shows you the rate of growth that's happening and the trend that we're on. We're now just beginning to do the 1998 numbers, and sometime in 99 we'll be releasing the next replication. I have every confidence it's going to be significantly bigger than that. How much, I don't know, but it's going to show continued growth. In the 1820s, getting back to the historic change that's underway, in the 1820s, New York State became the Empire State because it built the Erie and Champlain canals, and particularly the Erie Canal. DeWitt Clinton recognized that whichever one of the Eastern Seaboard states was the first one to figure out how to break into the West, how to get past the mountains and tap the natural resources and open up all that land and all those prairies and all those states yet to come to development. Whoever became that gateway, that was going to be the greatest state in the Union. That was going to become the center of commerce and industry in this country. And he was right. And he built the Erie Canal, and that's what drew the immigrant waves through New York, and that's what tapped all the resources and made New York the great industrial state that it was. And we have been living off that for 150 years. We still are. Much of the reason why New York is a financial center and so much else that we still enjoy today flowed directly from the fact that Erie Canal was built then. But it's getting a little tired and old. And thankfully something new is coming along. And this new dynamic is exactly that restructuring. And except this time, New York's just got to figure out kind of the right things to do to milk it. It doesn't have to build anything. It already built the highways and the railroads and so on. It's happening. We have to be in the right place at the right time to service that. And this area is determined to do the right things. As these numbers show, we sit back and do absolutely nothing. There is just something historic and natural economically happening here that we are already benefiting from and will continue to benefit in even greater ways from. But by gosh, if we can figure out how to do the right things to get even more out of that and have the kind of vision that folks had in the 1820s about this state and about this country to really tap that equation and that historic opportunity, who knows how many times we might multiply that number in the future. And I think we can. We look forward today to giving you a fuller look at just the many ways that this connection has evolved here, the many very specific ways that we possess a unique expertise to service and further those numbers on behalf of the whole country, again, standing at the place that we are and having the opportunity at our doorstep that we have, and to establish a partnership that we have immensely enjoyed with your consulate in Quebec City, with Steve Kelly before you, and I'm sure Steve has spoken of us with you and the many good things that we've done over the last couple of years with him. We immensely look forward to continuing that relationship and working together in what is really a common interest, building that positive relationship between our two nations, building trade between our two nations, and utilizing this area, what it has to offer to help do that. We stand ready to do that. We've been doing that with your predecessor, and we look forward to working with you to find new ways. Having said that, I'm happy to introduce our guest this morning. Lois Arroyan is the new Consul General in Quebec City, succeeding our good friend Stephen Kelly, who I think almost needed to have an office down here. He was down here so much over the last couple of years, and we were up there so often. Her last post was as Deputy Chief of Mission in Mauritania. What a change. She was born in New York. Her mother lives in Schenectady, so she does have an upstate connection. And in fact, she's meeting her mother at the Plattsburgh train station. She's coming up here later today and going back to Montreal with her. So we're actually going to be meeting her mother before we send Lois on her way home. She spent 19 years in the Middle East and Africa. She's been with the State Department for 14 and a half years. She has her doctorate in history from the University of Michigan. So I'm sure she's uniquely qualified to really understand the history that we're talking about here and the importance of historic dynamics such as what's going on here and how if you understand the history going on around you, the current history, and get with it, how you can make even more history of it. I also, before I ask her up here, though, I also want to note that also with her today, we're also pleased to have Janet Wilgus, who's the Counsel for Public Affairs in Montreal. Also a new arrival in Montreal. We have a whole lot of new folks to get acquainted with and are enjoying, looking forward to it. Her immediate past post was with Cultural Affairs in Cairo, Egypt, and she's been stationed in various places in the Middle East and Africa. Let me let her stand because some of you may want to certainly become acquainted with Dan later. And with that, I ask Lois to come up and speak to you.
Okay. I am so delighted to be here today. You can't imagine how much I did have a chance to meet with Steve Kelly in Washington very briefly, and he spoke so highly and enthusiastically of his ties with Plattsburgh, and that's why I arrived 2 months ago, and I wanted to get here early on as soon as possible so that I could help continue this tradition. You graciously arranged this tropical heat wave to make me feel right at home. When people hear that I came from Mauritania, Mauritania's the lowest average temperature throughout the year in Mauritania is 10 degrees higher than the highest average temperature in Quebec City. So, as people in the State Department love to say, you're one of those people who actually got the clothing allowance for transferring from one extreme to another. So, it's with great pleasure I'm here. I'd like to say I've had a very long commitment to promoting American business overseas. I spent 5 years of my career as a labor attaché, meeting with businesses, labor, visiting farms, factories. I was so delighted to go someplace, and they were talking about steel billets, and I said, well, I visited steel rolling mills. I've seen everything that's made from this product. And so I feel right at home. Also, 3 years ago, I sought one of the State Department's 3 corporate assignments to spend a year working for the Boeing Company in Seattle, Washington, and I spent a year with the Boeing Commercial Airplane Group from 95 to 96. And I felt I really needed to do that because I saw the direction in which we were moving as a country and in which our diplomatic missions were moving. And that was that an extremely important part of our jobs in the future was going to be the promotion of American business. And that was not simply the job of the Foreign Commercial Service, but it was also the job of the State Department and State Department officers. And too many of us may have come from backgrounds where that wasn't going to necessarily be the comfortable thing to do. So having spent so much of my diplomatic career, having been trained as a historian of the Middle East and North Africa, and then to have ended up spending so many years really dealing with economic, political, and social issues in the whole field of work and what it means in the United States and also in the rest of the world. When you spend so much of your life in Africa and the Middle East, and then you come back to North America, it's not just a culture shock. You also see how many problems are similar to people all around the world, to economies all around the world, to the basic things that really mean something for people's lives on a daily basis. Everyone would like to have a good job, to provide for their families, to have a decent life, and while that may be defined differently from place to place, it's a very important value everywhere you go. Now, I have had the pleasure of watching some of the presentations developed by my predecessor, and so I didn't want to bring any of those. I know many of you have seen them, and I just want to assure you that I'm going to be branching out in new directions in this field as soon as I learn how to do it, and because I would like to be able to present to Canadians, which is my job, all of the opportunities that exist in the United States. And of course, Plattsburgh has become the center of an extremely active commercial interchange that is part of this $1 billion in goods and services that is trading between the U.S. and Canada every single day. For the economies with which I have been dealing in my most recent career, this is really a mind-boggling figure, and even this one here is quite a mind-boggling figure, and I'm very much looking forward to learning today through my visits, through talking with you. I know there are a lot of you here today, but I hope this is going to be the beginning of 3 years of a very warm and productive relationship. Now, because my colleague from Montreal was here rather recently, and I know that she was discussing the main aspects of trade, and I think you're all the experts, in fact, on this relationship between Canada and the U.S. Of course, I've just come from a very interesting start in Quebec, where, as you know, they just had provincial elections, and now I'm hoping to go through 3 years in which focusing on building our commercial relationship is going to be a very, very key part of what I'm going to be doing. One of the things that I have noticed is that when we are calculating the impact of the trade, talking with my colleague from the Foreign Commercial Service, and the whole range of opportunities in the services are often not very well reflected in our trading statistics, and I think there are just so many opportunities for you here to continue taking advantage, and I'd just like to thank Sue Matten for all the work she did to set up my program here today, because, as I said, this is a learning, start of a learning experience for me, and I've always felt the more I learn, the more helpful I'm going to be able to be to you in the future. And I want to assure you that, now I've arrived in North America, I have a normal telephone code. You can telephone easily. Please don't hesitate to call us when we can be of help, because, as you know, we are just next door. We're not quite as just next door as Montreal, but we're not too far away. On that note, I'm going to actually stop and say thank you so much. I know my colleague Janet and I are very much looking forward to our visit today, and I'd like to thank you again for inviting us to be here this morning.
Actually, I'm surprised after Mary Pendleton must have filled Lois in on the paces we put her through during her visit that she came. I hope you're well rested. We have an aggressive schedule today. We're going to be taking her around the community. We're going to be taking her to meet with Bombardier and for their facility, both as an important Canadian player in this economy, but also as an example of the growing community of Canadian companies that are using this as a gateway area. We're going to be meeting with the mayor. We're going to be meeting with some economic development leaders at noontime over lunch. She's going to be spending some time at the Center for the Study of Canada at Plattsburgh State University this afternoon. And we've got some more jam-packed in here, I'm sure. So we're going to be putting her through a very, very full day. I might ask at this point if any of you maybe have any questions or comments, whether for Lois or for Jim Phillips, for that matter, at this point. Be happy to speak up. See, they are well informed. But thank you to our guest again for coming and meeting with all of you this morning. And we'll be around for a little bit if some of you want to have a chance to meet Lois personally, as well as Janet. And look forward to seeing you at the next function, which will be after the first of the year sometime. We're going to be speaking on Friday about plans for the Can-Am Council for 1999, but there's going to be a lot of good stuff happening, including, of course, the release of the next version of our study, but other good things as well. And certainly if any of you have any thoughts or issues on the Can-Am connection that you think we should be thinking of or looking at, or program ideas, be sure and talk to me or Sue Matten or Matt Boyer, and we'll be happy to try to build those in next year's programs. But thank you for being with us, and thank you for helping to continue to build the Can-Am connection.
35. You know the drill. What is the drill? I'm waiting for you.
Jen. Welcome to North Country Commerce, a business and community service of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce. I'm Gary Douglas, president of the Chamber, and every couple of weeks we try to bring you something of use to business in the North Country and just of interest to everybody in the North Country, and what could possibly be more interesting than us. We're going to tell you about the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce, because heaven, we tell you about all these other people and all this other great stuff, and we don't tell you about all the great stuff that we do often enough. And so we actually, believe it or not, if somebody asked you how many ways there were to use your chamber, what do you think they'd say?
I think they'd say 50, Gary.
You think they'd say 50? Because, that is very coincidental.
Because that's what it says
there
right
just
here.
happens to be at least,
At least.
it could be more,
It could be.
I'm sure there are.
but at least 50 ways to use the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce. I think they're skeptical. I hear skepticism. Do you
Let's
hear the
prove it.
sounds of skepticism?
I think we need to prove it.
I think people are nodding their head and saying, oh, no. 5 maybe.
5.
20. Maybe 37. So let's teach them. Because
Okay.
there are 50 ways to use chamber. At least 50. There's more being added every... We're going to have to make this 2 sides probably by next year. We're going to go through this and we're going to show you there's 50 ways to use this chamber at least. And we hope that you're going to hear some things that if you're in any kind of business or professions or organizations out there, and you either you belong to the chamber now, we're sure all of you do. You belong to the chamber now, even, you're probably going to hear something you either forgot about or maybe haven't caught on that we do. But those of you that don't belong to the chamber, all these things are available to you too, and it'll be a chance for you to maybe pick up on some things. Gee, I didn't know somebody around here did that. I might want to find out more about that. And we just might be available to tell you more about that.
I think we
We'll
might.
tell you how later, when we get to the commercial part. Not that this is a commercial. But at any rate, there must be 50 ways to use your chamber. And it says right down here, number 1, which comes up at least once a month, networking, particularly networking at business after hours.
Definitely. Business After Hours has grown into an amazing event. It's a monthly event. It's our networking event. Any business that is a chamber member can host one of these Business After Hours. They can have it either at their place of business or somewhere else. And it's a chance for all of our chamber members to get together and meet some of our other chamber members. Some they've met before, some they may have not met, and tell them all about themselves, learn about them, and just get some really good business contacts. And it's a great place to network. It's a real casual atmosphere, very friendly atmosphere. We have a group of chamber
Great food.
ambassadors, great food. Chamber ambassadors, if you don't know anybody and you would like to come to a Business After Hours, but you feel a little awkward about that, the ambassadors can introduce you to people who you might not have met before. So it's a really,
Then you can feel awkward with an ambassador eating
Yeah.
food. Hey!
it makes it so much easier that
That's
way.
right. It's fun being awkward at the chamber. No, you won't be awkward at all. But networking is the thing. We go out and survey small businesses all over the North Country, members and non-members. And the thing they say they most need and most value are opportunities to network. So there's a whole lot of stuff we do in networking. Direct business referrals. We do any of that?
We do a lot of those. We do over 20,000 of those a year. And for all types of businesses, there's the traditional ones that you think of that a chamber would do, like tourism referrals for hotels and restaurants and those kinds of businesses. But we also get requests for the strangest things that you would not think of. Things like, do we have somebody who has a bucket truck? Or couldn't we find somebody
Compressed
who...
fertilizer.
Compressed fertilizer,
That's a
those
real one.
kinds of things, yeah. And so we are happy to be able to refer the members of the Chamber of Commerce to people who need to hire them or buy their product or to use their service. And it's one of the more valuable things that we do.
And it's only to members.
That's right.
That's something to understand too. Chamber of Commerce is a private membership corporation, and we're not a public service. We're not part of government. So we service, and some of these things are open to all businesses, but others are just to our members, and referrals is one of those categories. If you're not a member business, we never, ever will tell anybody about you. And we want to tell them about you because you're interesting, you do good stuff. So we don't like not being able to tell them about you. So come on in, join the chamber, we'll be able to tell people about you. Put your materials in our lobby. We've got a great new lobby for that too.
Yeah, beautiful new lobby. We have lots of brochure space. The racks are much like the racks that you'll see behind us, and we do have a space for all of our members. And it doesn't matter if it's tourism or computers or economic development or whatever it is that your company might do, people do come through our lobby. We have a lot of meetings now that we have this new facility. A lot of business people are coming through our lobby as well as tourists, and it's a great way to get the word out. It's free for every chamber member, so bring us your materials and we'll get it out there for you.
That's 3 down. There's 4 and 5. I think this lady on my right knows something about each of these. Something called Small Business Answer Service. That sounds interesting. We all need answers. And then the next one, free counseling and advice from SCORE. I mean, it's really free?
It really is free.
No, can't be
Yes,
free.
it is really free, it is confidential, and it's sponsored by the U.S. Small Business Administration. It's a program that was started with the Chamber of Commerce about 4 years ago. It's grown to be a large part of what we do. And we have, the volunteers are all business people who are either retired or who have been in business for a long, long time and have a lot of experience that they're willing to share for free with business people who have questions or problems or challenges. If you're starting a business, if you're expanding your business, if you're starting something new in your business that you've never tried before, they may very well be able to help you.
And
answer
they're
some
all
questions.
over too, aren't they? They're in Essex, and we serve Essex, Franklin, and Clinton counties, all the viewing area. I think.
Yes, yes. We've counseled people as far south as Scroon Lake and as far west as Chateaugay,
Malone.
We've been all over the place. And
What's this answer service?
the answer service is the number 2 most popular thing
Do I have
that
to
we
pay for that?
survey. No, you don't have to pay for that either. No.
Oh, I have to pay for it.
Cool.
I have to pay for either of those things.
No. If you call and you ask a question, a business-related question, we will find the answer for you. Most of the questions that we get are regulatory type questions, or are questions about a kind of information that someone needs. Let's say they need some demographic information. I want to find out how many people of a certain household income are here. Or I want to know whether the tax department is going to tax me on something. Or I need to
That's
know
a bad
whether
thing.
oh, that's a bad thing. Yes, that's what the tax, the
If
answer,
we can help you avoid that, we will.
and some, we can't help them. We can tell them whether they have
Well,
to.
tax avoidance is good.
Tax,
Oh, no.
No?
Yeah, tax avoidance
That's
is
not a
okay.
That's
chamber
okay.
benefit.
Tax avoidance is okay, tax evasion is
That's
not.
right.
Learn the
Tax
difference.
avoidance is legal.
Yes, it is, and you
We
can,
can tell you how to do stuff legally.
we'll refer you to our member accountants for that, yeah. But those are very valuable services that we provide. And it's also kind of a lot of fun. I get to learn all sorts of things like that compressed fertilizer is taxable.
Mhm.
Okay?
That's right. New York State taxes
good to know.
manure.
Yes.
Who would think?
Only if it's
Hey,
processed.
it doesn't move. Of course they're going to tax it. If it moves, they got to catch it first. But anyhow, let's see. So now that's 5
Number
down.
6.
Support on key government issues.
I
We do
think
a
that
lot of
one's yours.
We do a lot of that. In fact, we do that pretty well.
Yes, we do.
We spend a lot of our time doing that. I know I can't see your hands, but I'm going to trust. I'm going to ask you all out there. If government doesn't affect you, raise your hand. You hear any hands going up?
Nobody
Nine
raised
here.
their
I don't
hands.
think there's any hands going up out
No,
there.
didn't see any.
So if you're in business, I bet government affects you, and I don't care how much they talk about, geez, we're making government smaller, or making it leaner, or making it more business friendly. Does anybody out there really sense government is less in their business? No. Maybe it's just getting worse at a slower pace. Government's always going to be in your business in all kinds of ways, and we try to help with that through things like the answer service, but we also try to help make it better out there. We lobby very actively in Washington and in Albany and regionally and at the counties and at the city and the town level. And heck,
You
I mean, if we
have a little bit of experience with government as well, don't you?
well, you had to tell them that.
I think it's
I try
important,
not to
though.
share that too much. I worked for 14 years for the U.S. Congress, but I just worked there, so don't
blame
Don't
anyone.
blame me.
But
I didn't
you
do
know
any
the
of that
inside,
stuff.
the inside answers and what works and
Oh,
what
I know
doesn't
the
work.
inside. It isn't always pretty, but I know it.
You keep an eye on them, right?
I keep an eye on
Yeah.
them. I know where to keep the eye
Yeah,
focused.
that's right.
But we work very closely with our state legislators and our congressional delegation and the governor's office and on the Canadian side too, for that matter, with officials in Quebec and Ottawa. And that's important because particularly for small business, you can't afford to have a lobbyist on your staff like a big corporation can. So who else is going to look out for you? And you don't have time to go to all these meetings. Most of these meetings, in fact, going on in the daytime. Planning committees and studies and public hearings and things that are going on, and they're making decisions that affect you. You can't afford to be there or to spend hours analyzing this stuff, figuring out, gee, how would this affect me? We do that. We do that all the time.
I see that number 7 and number 8 are the Vision newsletter and the Small Business newsletter. But maybe you could tell them about the new newsletter, the Government Affairs newsletter.
Sure. Well, we do have the Vision, and it's just an excellent, good monthly source that tells you not just what the chamber is doing, but also, because we work on so many things, you get a good picture of what's kind of happening with business issues and stuff out there. And then Small Business News is a bi-monthly, mid-month newsletter that we send out. It's just on small business issues, and there's another neat thing that goes in there, isn't it? That's the DBAs.
The DBAs and the incorporations, all the people who have started businesses are listed in the Small Business News.
Great prospecting list, and we give that. We give that to you. And then where were we? We're doing a new newsletter. That's right. We're starting a new newsletter January 15th that's going to go out to our whole mailing list, and it's called the Chamber Lobby. And it's specifically about lobbying on issues and government affairs, issue alerts for small business out there. Geez, this is happening in Albany right now. You might want to make some calls on this, or afterwards. This was the outcome. We're going to have some guest columnists, federal, local issues, state issues, and it's going to go out at least every other month at mid-month. But we anticipate we'll have a lot of special editions when they're hot issues. So a whole new angle on government affairs.
Number 9,
Number 9.
Free Lending Library.
Is that anywhere around here?
I think
I believe
it's
it's
right
right
there,
here.
actually.
Is that what that is?
I don't know if you can see that, but there's a whole bookcase full of books and videos and audio tapes and all kinds of things that can help people in just about every area you can imagine. If you're looking for volunteers, if you want help in marketing, if you want help with customer service. What else is in there?
That we just have a new section which is full of safety
There's a whole-
videos
there's a
and
whole-
tapes.
Yeah, there's a
They
whole
just
stack of
came
stuff
in.
over here.
Just came in. They're all about different safety subjects such as back safety, safety for the hospitality industry, job safety analysis, fire safety. There's about 20 videos, audios, and manuals that can be used for all safety subjects.
Businesses can borrow this stuff.
That's right. They can borrow that subject.
How much does it cost?
It costs free.
Free.
I get the free subjects. I like
We're going to
this.
figure out how this works. Let's see. Where are we?
10.
Free lending line. Number 10. Export help via our World Trade Center. I'll just say quickly, if you're interested in exporting, or if you do exporting now, you can never have too many contacts or resources. We're affiliated with the worldwide network of World Trade Centers. And we have a computer access point here. We have publications and resources here. We can help you connect to those centers worldwide. And for a little additional cost, in fact, we have discounted membership access to that worldwide network, which will let you not only access an amazing amount of informational services and a list of potential leads for your products and agents around the world and all of that kind of thing, but if you travel around the world, or even just to Canada, to Montreal, you can access those actual physical facilities. Just a lot of good stuff that you want to find out more about from us if you have any interest in exporting and world trade, in importing, the other angle of it too. Frequent workshops and seminars, not just workshops and seminars, frequent workshops and seminars.
And
how frequently are they?
there's a lot. We have seminars for and workshops for all of our various councils, and of which there are many. The safety group meets. That's where this selection of videos came from. They were interested in having access for their companies to safety videos and training materials.
Small business.
Small business.
Things on taxes and
Things on how to
customer
present
service and finance.
customers and, yes, we have had or will have in the next
Almost
year.
weekly.
Oh no, you're
More than weekly.
more than weekly.
More than weekly.
You don't go to
I knew
them.
that.
No.
I knew that. No,
Yes, there's a lot of them. So keep an eye in the newspaper and in the Chamber Vision and in the Small Business News for notices about those kinds of programs.
Do you think that anywhere out there, there's somebody in business that wouldn't find at least one of those workshops really valuable?
No way.
No way.
No way.
So you're
no.
missing something.
Yeah, there is definitely a seminar being put on this year that is valuable for every person in this business in the North Country.
Hey, I see this word again. Free.
Free,
Free.
free.
Free listing in the business directory. So if you're part of the chamber, we put out an annual business directory, and it comes out every year in January. And it really is the premier reference source for business-to-business use. So if somebody's in an insurance office or a manufacturing company in the area or something, and they want to find out where to find a trucking company, or where to find a contractor or a printing place to get their printing done, or whatever, they use that directory. And if you're not in that directory, you're going to get missed. Because you're not there, they're not going to find you. So But if you're part of the chamber, you get in that directory for free, a free listing.
And
And
the
then,
really neat thing is the directory is also on the internet.
that's right, net, I see, there's that word again.
That's free again.
Free.
We have quite a substantial internet site, and the Chamber's site encompasses everything that we do, but part of it is the directory listing. And we get requests every single day for people who found our website and are looking for particular businesses or people who do particular things, and they can either call us and ask for that, or they can access that themselves on the business listing. And the business listings, if you have an email address or a website address, those are hot linked for free directly to you. So if somebody did find your name on the business listing on the internet, they can click on your email and then send you a message directly, or click on your website and it will take them to your website. So it's a very popular thing. I know that a lot of people use it, and we get a lot of feedback through email that says people love it, keep it going. And the people that we do have listed in certain categories call us and say, I've had a few referrals, how can I be listed in more categories? So it definitely works, and it's another free thing from the
And you
Chamber
go back
of
up,
Commerce.
just jump back to number 2, direct business referrals. How do people find businesses when they want to find something? They contact Chamber of Commerce. And that isn't changing because of the internet. Whose website are they going to go to when they want to find out where to find a product or a service? They're going to go to the Chamber of Commerce's website. So you need to be on that listing, and then you need to have your web page, your own web page and home page, which if you don't have one yet and you're in business, you're going to have one soon, I predict. And your email hot link there, so that's going to bring more traffic to you, just like bringing traffic right to your door.
Maybe we could tell them what the address of the website
Yes.
is. It's http://northcountrychamber.com, all in lowercase letters. So check us out.
Check us out. Let's see. 120 plus discounts through the Commerce
It doesn't
Card.
say it, but it's free.
Free. So it must be a charge to. You mean if I'm in business, I'm a pizza parlor,
Right?
and
I'm sure there's a pizza parlor in here.
and I mean if I go to the newspapers and stuff, I gotta pay to advertise my discount. I don't have to pay to be in that.
No, you don't have to pay to be in this.
Must not go to very many people.
About 40,000 people get
40,000?
this. Yes.
I
and
think that's more circulation than some of the papers I advertise.
I think so. I think it probably is.
Wow.
There are over 100 businesses.
impressed.
You should
Yeah.
be.
Yes, and Jody puts this together every year. There's over 100 businesses, probably closer to 120 this year, that are making offers. They're all listed in this brochure, and each person who's made an offer is also on the card that goes out to the 40,000 people. You get a sticker to put on their window,
I use that
and
card.
that's a great, I know, I use that card too.
I have to
It's
get my
great.
oil change this week, and I'm going to use it. There's oil change.
Yes, there
And
is.
so you save money.
Yes, and,
It's not only not free, you actually get more money in your pocket because you save money.
Do you ever go out to eat?
Yes.
There are restaurants
I
on
do
there.
that.
there are a lot of restaurants on here, yes.
Do you
All
eat?
sorts of stuff. I think everybody eats.
You all eat. You can all save money. We're going to pay you to be in the chamber. You're going to have more money in your pocket. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's great, and it's a wonderful program, and it's a program that has really grown over the years. And a lot of chambers do charge for this.
How
But
That's
popular
right.
was that on your small business survey?
this one was right up there. This one was underneath networking and the answer service, but it was right up there.
Amongst those three, it was like amongst the top 3.
Yeah, I think actually it was 4, but we haven't got to the health insurance yet. That was number 3.
Let's see. Access to chamber mailing lists. If you want to do a mailing and hit those decision makers out there, those in the businesses and organizations in the North Country, and you're part of the chamber, you can get our mailing lists. We'll even put them out on labels and we'll provide the. It's not free, but it's
No.
cheap. You can find out more about us from that. And nobody else can get that list. That's our list. So we don't just give that to anybody. But if you talk to us, we'll work it out. Place ad inserts in our newsletters. That's a good way to do the same thing, isn't it?
Definitely. That's another that it's not free, but it is cheap. For regular businesses, it's $185 to put an insert in our newsletter. You give us the copies of the insert, and we'll stick them in the newsletter and mail them out to everyone. And actually, for not-for-profits, it's only $95. So it saves you the mailing cost. It saves you the hassle of putting it all together. We'll do it for you. We'll get it out, and it goes to our entire membership.
Real
And
targeted.
It's very targeted, especially if you're looking to hit business people. This is the way to do it. And everybody, I think, that has ever done an insert has come back and done it again. So I know that it works for them. This is a proven.
Well, I know we're going to start moving fast here.
I know, you're running out of time here.
Let's see. Exhibit at the Business Expo. We're going to tell you more about that in an upcoming episode, but it is May.
May 20th.
So let us know about that. In fact, January registration's going to open up. So start thinking about that and give us a call. Access to tourism promotion programs. We've done some episodes and we're going to do some more there too. If you're in any kind of tourism business, We got brochures, travel shows that our Visitors Convention Bureau will take your materials to. Co-op ad programs where we actually help pay for your advertising. Again, not free, not only is it not free,
Subsidized.
it's subsidized. We actually subsidize your advertising. A lot of stuff to find out there that if you're not taking advantage of, you need to. Multiple, not just health insurance choices, multiple health insurance choices.
That was number 3 on the list of popular
Number 3.
services, yes.
Number 3, we do health insurance.
Yes.
So particularly if you're a small business person out there, a self-employed person, contractor, whatever, your regional chamber, what we do is use our numbers and our clout to go out there and get the most competitive possible health insurance products designed for you. They're available all year long. Come in and talk to us. We have multiple choices, not just one plan or 2 plans. In fact, I think we have 7 or 8 different plans right now, plus dental insurance. And we'll tell you all about it. We have somebody on staff full-time whose only job is to be your friend and your advocate when it comes to health insurance, help you understand it, make the right choices. Let's see, what else have we got here? Canadian Connection Services. Boy, we could talk about that a lot. But big part of the economy here, the biggest part of the economy here. And this chamber is where all that stuff happens. We have programs. We had a couple of consuls general here recently. We had Ambassador Giffen, the U.S. Ambassador to Canada, in town this past year. We do seminars and workshops. We do missions up into Canada. Any interest at all in Canada and cross-border business, you got to be here. We got to talk. We got to talk if you're interested in that. Workforce recruitment video.
I was reading
ahead.
ahead, so I grabbed it from the shelf over here.
Well, you're good.
Thank you very much. This was produced by the local businesses. It's a recruitment video used to talk about the quality of life here and how really nice it is to live in and work in our area.
It is very nice, isn't it?
It is very nice. Yes, it is.
We have to tell more people about that.
Yes, and we talk about.
Makes me want to live
you could
in
use this.
Plattsburgh.
Yeah, you could use this. Tell more people about that.
Yes.
Your business or your organizations. I mean, it's not just for the big employers. There's a lot of uses that you go to.
And we talk about the good schools that we have and the good health care that we have and the beautiful area that we have here in our proximity to other areas. So if people who are thinking of locating here from other areas, not familiar with how beautiful our area is, this is a good way for them to visually see what it's like here.
Okay, number 23, dental insurance. I mentioned that. We got it. Come talk. Number 24, long-distance phone discounts. We got it. If you're on AT&T for your business account out there and you have at least $25 in long-distance calls, you could be saving 5% off your bill just by being affiliated with the chamber. No gimmicks. That's on top of any other discount you got. Talk to us.
I feel like David Letterman.
Except we're going the other way. We should have started at 51. We're way back.
Moved up.
Number 25, attend business before business. That's just like business after hours, except it's over muffins and coffee in the morning. Talk to us, another networking opportunity. Workers' Comp Management Program. If you're an employer out there, we got a cost-saving program called the North Country On the Job Network that is saving over 50 employers here in the North Country already tens of thousands of dollars a year in workers' comp
And
costs.
it's
Free.
free.
Totally free. Talk to us. Cellular phone service discounts, just like our AT&T program. We got a program with Cellular One, even if you're a current Cellular One customer. And this includes employees of chamber members too, not just business accounts. You can convert to a plan with them and you can start saving money, more money in your pocket. So it's not only a free benefit, we'll pay you to do it.
There you go.
Human resource management programs, workplace safety programs. It's part of what Sue mentioned, particularly for industrial employers out there. We have monthly programs just for those sectors. Cooperative ad campaigns, we mentioned that in tourism. We actually subsidize your tourism advertising. Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec, Albany, Syracuse, all over the place. Can't beat it. Payroll deducted life insurance, that's something new. That's for small business, medium business, large business. We have a really attractive payroll deducted life insurance program for you and or your employees that can only be obtained through membership in a Chamber of Commerce. You can't go to an insurance agent and buy this. You have to be a member of the Chamber to access this discounted plan. It's one of those things we've negotiated because we have the numbers to do it.
Good retention program.
Good
for
retention
business.
program for employees, absolutely. Listings and special brochures, we got some of those, don't we?
We have a lot of different brochures.
There's a dining
we
one,
put
isn't
in. There's a dining one. There is a bed and breakfast one.
Bed and breakfast one.
There's
Golf.
Golf.
There's a golf one. You're
Yeah.
not going here?
Echo, echo, echo.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. And we got a lot of specialty brochures like that if you're a member and affiliated with the chamber, you're in there. If you're not, you're not. And we give out thousands of those dining brochures, probably 10, 15,000 to visitors to the area if you're telling them all about restaurants in the area that want to go check out and eat.
And in
so,
our new facility, we're even easier to find.
And once you're a member of the chamber, what's it cost to be in those special brochures?
Free.
Free?
Most of them. Most
Wow.
of them. Some of them with
There must be 50 free ways to use
must
your
have free. Yeah. Some of them that are the tourism ones, there is a charge for.
Quality assurance programs, another one of those special things. If you're an industrial employer out there and you're into quality assurance, we've got monthly programs on that. Not once a year, they're all the time. There's another one coming up.
Quality
month.
assurance benchmarking, January 21st, and Jim Frank from CV Tech will be doing that program for us.
Access to valuable data and research. We got all kinds of technical data. You've got questions about that, we can get it for you. Long-term care insurance, another product. Overnight express delivery discounts. We actually can still access that for you. Health club discounts at the Court Club in Plattsburgh. We have a discount program. Discounted employee assistance program for employers. Advertise in chamber publications. So you want another targeted way. You want to be in the chamber newsletter. You want to be in the membership directory, display advertising. Good targeted way to advertise. We can tell you more about that. Spousal employment network for employers. That's something else that we do to help. If you're recruiting employees to the area and they have a spouse and you need some assistance to help make that spouse decide they want to come to the area and help them find a job, we have a way you can help do that. Agriculture links and support. We try to work a lot with the agricultural sector. Minor institutes on our board. We work with Farm Bureau a great deal through the ice storm. We've worked on the dairy compact. We work with them a lot. A very important part of the economy.
Yes.
We don't want to
Number
forget
one.
that. NFP network programs. Every
Every other month,
Every other
our
month.
not-for-profit groups have presentations that are geared specifically toward them, so it might be something about marketing or getting the word out, but we understand that not-for-profits don't have a huge marketing budget like other people might, and so we try to gear it toward them and help them find ways to make the most of their budgets and do presentations every other month.
Number 46, certificates of origin. If you do exporting, you need those things. We can take care of that. And it's free. As long as the chamber, we do those certificates for free. Forums, the key federal and state officials. We're bringing in senators, governors, all those folks all the time. These are folks that didn't used to come to the North Country 5, 6, 7 years ago. We bring them in here
Now they ask us.
They ask us. We bring them in here to meet with you. You get to be in a room, ask them questions. That's very important. Access to our official SBA Resource Center, which is part of what we're
sitting.
here in. Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5, actually. You want to access materials, we have a computer station. You can get on there to SBA programs and on the internet, and it's free. Economic development promotion of our region. We're out there doing that in Canada. We're out there doing that all the time. We're working on a corridor project with partners from Quebec City to Albany, promoting economic development in this region, pulling together the economic developers up and down the line.
St. Pat's and
St. Pat's and Taste of the North Country, two popular events every year. And speaking of events, there's one coming up in January.
The annual dinner is on January 15th, and this year it's going to be a Mardi Gras, and this is a very special dinner because this is the dinner where we give the awards for Business of the Year, Small Business of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, and several others. So it's a very fun evening. It's a great evening to find out what's happening in the community, what the Chamber's done for the past year, what the plans are for the next year, and we hope you can join us for that. If you'd like
Absolutely.
more information, just call us at the Chamber.
563-1000 is the number to call on any of these things. And that was 50, and there is number 51, strategic leadership on important plans and issues. And boy, we do that. Whether it's base redevelopment or cross-border trade or Lake Champlain planning. We were at 2 meetings today.
Yes.
Workforce development and Lake Champlain byways. Participating and strategically planning for the future of the
Only
area.
2?
Only 2.
Okay.
Well, the after is
It was a
the
slow
day's
day.
young. Slow day. So we're out there doing that on behalf of business too, because again, this is important stuff to plan for the future of the economy. But if you're in business out there, you're busy running your business. You can't be at the meeting, so it's our job to be there for you. So son of a gun. We were wrong. There are at least 51.
I bet
And
there
we're
are
out of
more.
time.
We just didn't
We'll have to
them
think
all.
of more before we could do another show. But call us. We just proved to you there are at least 50 ways to use the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber. 563-1000. We hope we'll hear from some of you. And have a very happy holidays and a happy new year to all of you. Welcome to North Country Commerce, a business and community service of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce. I'm Gary Douglas, president of the Chamber, and today we have as our special guest Always this time of year, coming up to summer and the height of tourism season here in the North Country Lake Champlain region, the director of the Champlain Shores in the Adirondacks Visitors and Convention Bureau, a division of the Chamber, got all that in with one breath. Carolyn Harding. Welcome, Carolyn.
I very rarely get it in one breath, yes. Have a long time.
She gets
Good
three
morning.
times as much in one breath. I've seen her at travel shows. I've seen her. We also have with us another very special guest we're happy to introduce on this show. This is little Sammy Champlain. And Sammy Champlain is, I'll have Carolyn, he's a little shy. I'll have Carolyn hold on to him for you. Now, Sammy is a special project of the Chamber, isn't he?
He's a wonderful project of the Chamber. He's a symbol of our association, our wonderful association with Quebec, because he's a black bear, as you can see, and of course black bears live here in the Adirondacks. He came down with Samuel de Champlain in 1609 and stayed here as the ambassador from Quebec in the Adirondacks. So his name is Sammy, and he is a collectible bear. And he's one of my favorites. I take him with me because, you know, people love pets. You know, they'll talk to me when I have him. But he's available here at the Chamber. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes, he is. He's a totally handmade product of Adirondack craftspeople. There will never be more than 500 Sammys made. So he's a limited edition, very high quality product, and obviously a very cute bear and a very special character bear. He's all signed and numbered, each one, and they are available here at the Chamber for $89. Proceeds to help the Chamber in its tourism and other efforts, and also to get just a nice symbol out there, something that reflects the heritage of our area and our Canadian connection and Lake Champlain and Adirondacks and everything kind of all tied into one.
He'd make a wonderful gift for someone from the area. If you have friends or relatives that have left the area, he'd make a marvelous present.
He's become the top presentation item that people now look forward to when they come to Chamber events. We have special guests come in like the ambassador and consuls general from Canada and senators and governors and so on come into the area, and we have them here. We always present them with one of these Sammys, and they're already starting to be on display all over the place in lobbies and offices because it's a really unique presentation item, which is something to consider too for businesses or organizations out there that may want something very special to give to somebody as a gift that reflects the area, particularly a visitor to the area, that rather than the kind of the plaque or the things that they kind of get from everybody and they all kind of blur. This is something you can send somebody away with that it's a permanent statement about the area and something they'll probably display because it's different.
You know something else? It's something that they could bring home to the family, that the family would love too. Plaque is a plaque.
Makes a great 4th of July present. Not close enough to Christmas to say make a
Okay.
Christmas present.
4th of
Make a great
July.
4th of July present. No, but a great Mother's Day present, Father's Day present, Christmas present, Victoria Day, whatever.
There you are. Now, I took him to Montreal with me during the shows that I do, the travel shows in Montreal, and I was just telling my boss here that at those shows, the Parks Canada has Samuel de Champlain in full costume because their guides and all of their forts, you know, that they have tours of are completely dressed in authentic costume. So I have a picture now with the real Samuel de Champlain and Sammy that will be on display in my office.
Particularly timely, too, because we're engaged with a number of other organizations in New York and Vermont and Quebec in some meetings that have taken place recently and are going to be continuing to start planning for the anniversary of Champlain's arrival in North America, which is coming up in 2009, not that far away. Particularly, we want to plan the kind of celebrations that we want to have. And
right.
Sammy will be there. Sammy will be there and be part of it.
As a matter of fact, I'm sending Sammy up to Montreal this week, sir. He's going to be part of a fundraiser in Quebec. But yeah, we're working with Byways, the Byways program, Scenic Byways, Bikeways of Lake Champlain, the Basin program, people in Quebec. We're doing some cooperative efforts between now and beginning in the year 2003. We'll have 6 years of festivals going on throughout the whole region, in Quebec, in Vermont, and in New York State. Excuse me.
So Sammy's going to be a very busy bear, but we're also busy with other stuff here too. We'll let Sammy go back to his sled. He likes his sled, even in the summer. He loves that sled. There's a lot going on, and there's rumors that tourists are probably coming here this summer. So is
Better be, or
this
I'm in
true?
trouble if they're not coming. Yes, we had, actually, all of us know about the tragedy in 1998 with our ice storm. And that brought so many people here to fix and repair and insure, et cetera. But you know that the wonderful thing is we found that the pattern continued right through the summer. We had wonderful summer figures from our hotels and through the fall. And the wonderful thing, again, is that in January, February, March of 1999, it looks like the trend is continuing, which means we have more tourists in our area. And we feel that there are a number of factors involved, one of which, of course, we hope, is because we have emphasized bringing tourists not only from Quebec, which of course is our neighbor, but also from the rest of the states. Because there's so many people in this country who have never realized that Lake Champlain does not belong to Vermont, that half of it belongs to us, and that we have phenomenal history on this side of the lake. We have wonderful views. We have less populated shorelines. We have so much to offer. So we hope that all of those efforts are beginning to bear some fruit.
In fact, they are. We had an interesting presentation here at the Chamber yesterday by Kevin Neal, who's the general manager of Champlain Centers, the major shopping mall in Plattsburgh, giving us a good picture of what's going on. And I think, at least in the retail sector, it helps to paint the picture of something that's happening more broadly in this community, which is, first of all, that business is good. But secondly, it's good in part because there are people coming, and they're coming from different places and in different patterns than they used to several years ago. It may surprise some people out there to hear, but it's the truth. Business at Champlain Centers, year to date, 1999, is up 11% over a year ago. Last year's car count numbers, because as Carolyn knows, having worked there, they analyze the license plates and they count cars and where the plates are from. In 1998, for the year, the license plate counts at Champlain Centers were right on the money with the high point of shopping at Champlain Centers back in 1994 in terms of car counts. So what happened? Are the Canadians back in the same numbers they were in 1994? No, although they're back a little more than they were, but no, they aren't back. What's happened is there are more local shopping, but there are a lot more Vermonters. There was a steep increase in the number of Vermont plates appearing in the parking lots over here. So a lot is happening. We are getting more visitors for shopping, for travel, for tourism, for camping, for fishing, for all kinds of things.
Yes, we are.
And you'll take credit for that.
Yes, sir. There's something else, too, by the way, when you brought up Champlain Centers, that, of course, it's close to my heart, and that is that the national travel and tourism businesses have an article now that I just copied the other day, which says, finally, it is recognized that shopping is part of tourism. It's a big part of tourism. We've always known that with our Champlain Centers, that they drew people from out of the area to come to the area. So they are now big partners with us, not only with attractions, hotels, and restaurants, but shopping is a big part of why folks will stop here.
Now let's touch on some things that are going on here at the Chamber now and in the upcoming months to put an extra spin on tourism promotion and business promotion here in the area. And part of that story is where we're standing, isn't it?
Oh, yes. This is very exciting, by the way. I hope you're going to take a shot of our new lobby with our wonderful decor that Mr. Douglas gets up on the ladder and puts up and changes by seasons. But this is our brand new visitor center, which just opened in October, and we are very proud of it because we have now the opportunity to bring in more folks into the area, and they'll be able to fit into the room and find the brochures they want to see. They'll be able to get the information very quickly about our area. We also have, of course, all of our members are able to display their brochures, which of course is for local people and for businesses moving into the area. They want to see what services we have to offer. So this visitor center we're extremely proud of. We are on the crossroads. I hope everybody knows this, where we are. We're at exit 39 or 39E if you're coming south. And we are right at the junction of the road that leads to the ferry to Vermont and, of course, on to Boston and the Northeast. So we're in an absolutely perfect location for folks to stop and get tourist information as well as business information.
And it's now signed off the Northway. If you come up or down the Northway now around 39, you'll see the information center signs, the big question marks with the directional signs here, which means we expect a lot of traffic here this summer, because part of the intent here is we know there's over 3 million cars going up and down the Northway every year. Obviously, not all of them are stopping here. But if we get more of them to stop and find out where to eat or where to do something, or maybe on a return trip see something they want to come back for, by getting them into a visitor center like this, we can get more bang out of the traffic that's already going through here but not stopping. So that's part of what we're after. And it makes being part of this center for any tourism-related business out there, restaurants, motels, campgrounds, golf courses, whatever, all the more important, because if you aren't here, they aren't going to find out about you. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you talk to us, that you get your materials and your information in our hands for this visitor center as soon as possible. And outside, which we're not going to show you, but if you visit the building, you see there's a big portico on the front. And within the next 30 days or so, we intend to build a facility underneath that covered lighted portico, and that'll be the exterior 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year visitor center. So those people come off the Northway on Sunday evening, they're going to be able to pick up materials too. So it's going to be incredibly important to be part of this if you're in any kind of business that relates to visitors.
We're also going to offer customer service out there in another aspect. We'll have bike racks for folks that are cycling. This is one of the major bikeways routes up and down the lake. We'll have benches, we have a telephone there, so that we become user-friendly for anyone that visits the area. And our dining guide and our accommodations guide, everything that will be of interest to them will be available, and they can immediately make reservations at the local hotel or whatever.
Now, in addition to the visitor center, something new this year and something that you're going to want to be part of, there are, of course, all the materials, and we have some of them here. Updated every year, reflecting different kinds of themes, different kinds of businesses. We have the main travel guide, which includes all the accommodations and hotels and campgrounds in there. So if you're one of those and you're not working with us and not listed in that, you want to be in there. We just put out 75,000 copies of that publication. We have the dining guide, which lists restaurants in the area. And I want to emphasize our area is 3 counties. It's Clinton, Essex, and Franklin. We're not the Plattsburgh Chamber. We're not the Clinton County Chamber. We're the regional chamber, and it's a regional visitors and convention bureau. And southern Quebec as well. So all of you in our viewing area, what do we got here? 101 things to do. There are 101 things to do.
There's more than
right
101 things to do.
In fact, we have a standing challenge. Carolyn has issued a standing challenge. If anybody proves they've done all 101 things in this brochure, come back and talk to her. She'll come up with 101 more.
Oh, I thought you were going to promise me to do housework for a month or something.
Or, well, that'll be your choice. You can offer that as an alternative. We've got brochures for Canadian visitors, French and English. It just gives them helpful hints on conversions of different things, the exchange rate, sizes, metric, those sorts of things. Calendar of events. We put out a calendar of events. It's on our website. northcountrychamber.com, so it's constantly updated there. We also print it, a new version every few months. Yeah. So that's something to come and actually get for local folks too, if you want to find out about events, not just for tourists. But something else I want to stress here, and I'm always saying it, let us know about events. We do put out a calendar of events.
Please.
We do put it on the website. There are frequently communities out there all over the region, particularly in some of the outlying areas that don't think they ought to be calling this chamber or this visitor center to list their event. They aren't doing it yet. And so we need you to tell us about those bazaars and those festivals and those things that are going on throughout the region so we can include them and let visitors know. Maybe we can help bring some more traffic to your event.
That brings up another thing. We also have a place to put posters, so folks do have events and they have nice-looking flyers. They want us to hang them up. Please let us know. We're also on the web on a constant basis changing this, and we have something new coming up, which is a connection to the I Love New York website, where we will be updating events and so forth. So it's very important to keep in touch with us.
We have special brochures for bed and breakfasts, for golf courses. We have a fishing brochure that lists all the marinas, bait and tackle shops, and so on related to fishing. A lot of specialty things like that. Again, if you're interested in those things, these are good things for local people to pick up as well, but also if you're a tourism-related business out there, you need to be in those publications, and if you aren't working with us, you aren't in there, and if you aren't in there, visitors don't know about you, but they know about your competition.
That's right. And
you don't want them to just know about your competition, do you? You want them to know about you, too.
What a challenge. We have a brand new one being produced this year, very soon as a matter of fact, which is with all of the campgrounds. We'll have 8 campgrounds in a new brochure, which we will be giving out by the thousands. So there's lots of opportunities. We call it a menu of opportunity for cooperative advertising. We help cover the cost, by the way, of a lot of these things. If you'll notice on the brochures, there's the little I Love New York logo. And what that means is that I use part of the monies from the state of New York, the matching funds it's called, to help local people produce things for their business. So it's an opportunity to double your money.
We're
for
in,
advertising.
we do cooperative ads in major magazines. Name some of the ones that we did last
Oh,
year and we're
golly.
doing this year.
We have
It's going to surprise people, some of the national magazines. we're
One
doing.
of the things that was asked of me 5 years ago when I first started this job, June, Gary, is my anniversary. And they said to me, Carolyn, why don't we advertise in big magazines?
That's a hint for an anniversary present. But we're gonna-
But anyway, they would ask me, why don't we advertise? Well, we are now because of the progress we've made over the last 5 years. We're in Better Homes and Gardens, Mature Outlook, Travel and Living. We work with
Reader's Digest.
Reader's Digest. We're in a cooperative ad with the Adirondack region, which is the 7 counties of upstate New York. And when people write in, we're in 7 different publications with the region, including the New York Times Travel, Reader's Digest, as Gary said, Yankee Magazine, some of the biggest and best magazines in the country. And when those requests come in for information about the Adirondacks, our information goes in the package. And we expect something like 20,000 requests.
Now, 2 things to keep in mind there. Number 1, once again, if you're not working with our Visitors Convention and Convention Bureau and you're a tourism-related business out there, you're missing out 2 different ways. Yeah, there are ways to buy in directly on a lot of these cooperative advertising ventures and therefore get into publications and outlets that as an individual business you couldn't dream of being able to afford to get into, but in partnership through us and a number of other businesses you can get in there. Plus, when we send out those response materials to those 20,000 folks,
Yep.
what did I say happens? We send them out to publications, and if you aren't in the publications, they also aren't finding out about you. But if you're working with us and you're in our travel guide, you're in our accommodations guide, our fishing brochure, our 100 and, all of these different things, bed and breakfast guide, golf course guide, and so on, then that means those people are getting information about you. So another important thing to keep in mind. It isn't just, these things aren't just picked up here in the Visitor Center. That's only one aspect of it. These things are going out in the mail because this Visitors Bureau, this chamber, is the primary source that people come to from all over the world now to ask for information on this area in the Lake Champlain region. And if you aren't in our publications, they aren't finding out about you.
I mean, we're on the website, and it's amazing the number of hits, as they say, that we get on that website on a regular basis from literally all over the world, as Gary says.
Even more hits than I get at a board meeting.
Oh, boy.
Ring a boom boom. Anyhow.
Okay.
What has the VCV been up to? Let's see. We mentioned in the region is not just Clinton County, but I want to stress that again. We're doing a lot of travel shows. Mention some of the travel shows that we're doing this year and that are coming up.
Well, I've just finished doing 3 travels, actually more than that. I personally staffed the booths in Montreal for a boat show, a summer holiday show in Quebec City. We send our brochures to shows in Toronto, shows in Albany, Syracuse. We go to motor coach conventions and shows, which are extremely important because, of course, one motor coach with 50 people drops $6,000 in the community. That's something. Every time you see a motor coach in town, give them a cheer for us,
And
will
run
you?
around behind them because
Yeah.
Carolyn says they're dropping money.
But those folks are they're very important, and we have seen an increase in motor coach tourism traffic. And that's a plus for our hotels because they come off-season and midweek. It's something that we're working very hard to grow.
It's part of the strategic endeavors that we're now involved in here. We're out there not just doing the basic kinds of promotion, although we mentioned we do all those things, but also working strategically out there to increase things like motor coach tour activity, group tour activity, small meetings and conventions coming to
that's
this
a good
area,
one.
and we're having some success. Now, again, if you're a tourism-related business out there, if you're a hotel or motel or maybe a major restaurant, you can instantly think, oh, that's relevant to me. I want to find out about that. So do it if you haven't. But some of you may be thinking, well, gee, that's not relevant to me. I'm a gift shop or a craft store or a golf course or some other kind of business out there. Gee, motor coaches aren't going to come to me. Wrong, because what will also help facilitate for the smaller businesses out there that you don't automatically think of as being relevant to group tours and conventions and bus tours are packages. will help facilitate you getting in contact and working with the hotels who are hosting these things to perhaps do discount or package opportunities or so on, so that when these people are in town, they'll come to your restaurant or your golf course or your attraction.
As a matter of fact, we've just created an itinerary, sample itineraries that motor coach people want to see. They want ideas for what to do in your area. And the region has just printed a new publication, group tour itineraries, and things like a local homemade candy shop. You wouldn't think they would be involved in motor coach. They are. And here's another one for you that we've worked with, marinas. There's a marina in Westport called Westport Marina that has a darling little galley restaurant that usually services just their boating people. Well, she came in with us in an ad in a magazine for the group tour industry. Within 2 months, she had booked a motor coach to eat lunch in her restaurant and take the little tour boat that holds about 50 people. She loves it. Now, what an idea for increasing your business.
So be innovative, talk to us. That's really the story. And don't think that, oh, these some of the things the VCB does aren't relevant to me. If you're creative, there's probably a way you can figure out to get a piece of the action. And if you talk with Carolyn, she'll help you come up with some ideas. We recently got the campgrounds together in the region, and we've got them working together. We're going to be doing, as we do with the B&Bs and fishing and some other themes, we're going to be doing a campground brochure on a cooperative basis with them. So any campgrounds out there, you need to be talking with us if you haven't in a while, because we're doing some new things with campgrounds and cooperative advertising and a shared brochure. We mentioned packaging and helping to facilitate packaging and group tours. We have folks from a new casino in the area coming over and talking to us next month.
We certainly do. They are from the Akwesasne Mohawk Casino in Hogansburg. And they're going to be coming over here to talk with us because we are only 1 hour away from this brand new casino. We have lots of facilities they're going to have to utilize. So therefore, we're going to talk about putting together some good packaging with these folks for both motor coach and the regular tourist. Not only that, but we're going to also be incorporating the campgrounds with the casino.
Absolutely.
Okay? So that we have opportunities here to do some wonderful packaging.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even marinas. There's a creative
Yeah, absolutely.
approach. How do we get
Absolutely.
people, boaters in Lake Champlain, from the marinas to the casino and to other attractions? Those are the kinds of things we want to start talking about. Make everything work together, because that's what makes the pie bigger. A new attraction next door isn't competition, it adds to the magnet. If they can bring more people in, that we can then get to do the other kinds of stuff that are here once we get them here. Bikeways. That's a growing interest here.
Oh, we started 5 years ago getting involved with the Lake Champlain Bikeways program, which is part of the Basin program. And we knew that bicycling, is a growing family sport. It is environmentally friendly. It brings people who love to spend money. So this was a new focus for us, and we've been working with them ever since, and it has grown tremendously. They send out packages of information with accommodations and campgrounds along the cycling route around the entire lake, and I can tell you that it is growing and will continue to grow. I'm working with a gentleman right now who wants to bring down 400 cyclists from Quebec.
So bike shops out there, sporting goods stores, even little inns and restaurants out along some of the roads that they're biking on need to be talking to us, because if we don't know about you, if you aren't working with us, we can't help direct these folks to you. And relevant to bikes, we have the Hogs coming to town.
Yeah.
What are the Hogs?
Hogs, yes. Harley Davidson Owners Group Society, I think, is the last for the S. Anyway, these folks, if anybody knows anything about Harley Davidson, have done a metamorphosis in the last 15 years when the family bought back Harley Davidson and turned it into the Cadillac of motorcycles. And these folks are devoted to these wonderful motorcycles, and they're going to hold their statewide convention here in Plattsburgh this summer. They expect upwards of 3,000 folks in town. And so that's just one of the many things that's going on. We have the International Volleyball Tournament being held here this summer. This is phenomenal on our city beach. From here they go to Hawaii. So we will have that going on the same weekend as the Mayor's Cup.
There's an international rowing competition going on in Lake Champlain this summer.
There are so many things. Well, we had things this past February for the first time. We had the Snowshoe Classic, which is, again, a qualifying meet. So we're bringing small conventions, meetings.
These are things that we work in partnership with organizations like the Adirondack Sports Commission. But it's part of our whole effort to help bring more group tours and activities into town, and we're having some real success. Something like the Hogs Convention is going to drop an awful lot of money into this community, bring visitors here that never came here before, that we believe when people come here, they generally return. If you get them here once, they see things that they like, they see an area that they love, they see things they didn't have time to do when they came here the first time, they come back. So that's an important spin-off anytime you get a group here.
Absolutely. That's what happened with our folks that came here to help us during the ice storm. We had ice storm thank you packages, and we brought back something like 300 families that loved the area and brought their own children and wives back to see the area.
Now, we're hosting another group here in June, the TPA conference. Now, what are TPAs? Are those accountants that specialize in hot beverages?
No. TPA stands
I've been
for...
waiting to use that line all morning.
TPAs are tourist promotion agents, and each county in New York State, there are 62 counties, and each one has a designated TPA. And here in Clinton County, the county legislature designated the Chamber of Commerce as the official tourist promotion agency for this county. And so each one of the counties has a comparative person to myself. And for the first time in history, since the I Love New York campaign was founded, they are having their spring get-together here in Plattsburgh. And we are going to wine them and dine them and show off the North Country.
And we're going to send them back across the state knowing the great stuff there is up here. And that all helps spread the word, things that we can work with on them. These are also our peers, and our peers are coming here to see what we're doing because they've heard we're doing good things.
Well, we hope so, because after all, when folks stop in other areas to ask for information, just like we do here, we have information about the rest of the state, Quebec, other states, etc. Why? Because we want to be user-friendly, and we want to give the service to the people that stop here. So we hope now that the rest of the state will also recommend the Adirondacks and Lake Champlain.
So, to kind of wrap things up here, local folks should be using this visitor center to get event information and things about fishing and boating and stuff to do in the area, and know that the Chamber is a resource for that. So call us at 563-1000 anytime that you want to get those things, 101 things to do on Lake Champlain, all of those kinds of sources. Check out our website routinely, northcountrychamber.com. Check out the calendar of events and things that are going on there. It's a good way to keep right up to date with things. But then again, if almost any kind of business out there that at all has visitors come in your door, if you haven't yet been working with Carolyn or been in touch with the Visitors and Convention Bureau here at the Chamber, and you're anywhere in the three-county area here in the North Country, you need to be in touch with us. You need to get plugged into this visitor center, to the brochures, to the travel shows, to the group tour and motor coach efforts, to explore the packaging opportunities with the hotels in the area and the attractions. There's just too much going on for you to miss. And we know there are still folks out there that are missing out. They still haven't come in. They still aren't aware that there are things that they can be taking advantage of that are available to them, or maybe they're out in some of those outlying areas and they still aren't aware that we're serving the whole region and not thinking that they can work with this chamber. Maybe seeing, gee, that chamber's doing great things. Too bad I can't get in on that. Well, they can. So call us, 563-1000. Ask for Carolyn. She'll not only be happy to talk with you, but she'll be happy to listen to you and to help you come up with those ideas and get you plugged in. And I guess that's it for now, but we hope to be hearing from you all this summer. We're looking forward to a good summer. The business community is enthusiastic about this summer. We're enthusiastic about it. It's going to be a great year.
And now I'm going to get out my Indian costume and do a rain dance so that it doesn't rain.
Thank you for watching North Country Commerce.